Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Friday in the Riv, in a little kind of snowy, rainy, slushy, whatever it's doing out there now, day in the city. But we've got a whole bunch of things to talk about.
Well, there is one thing I've got to bring up because
Okay.
I received it via email this morning from the city clerk's office, and I want to be sure everyone knows about it because I'm going to show you how interested the city council is to this. Legal notice. Notice of public hearing, Office of the City Clerk, Fall River, Mass., January 22nd, 2024. Notice is hereby given that in accordance with the city charter, a public hearing will be held by the city council on Tuesday, February 13th, 2024 at 5:55 p.m. in the council chamber, One Government Center, to hear all persons interested and wishing to be heard on the capital improvement plan for the fiscal years ending June 30, 2025 through June 30, 2029. Copies of the capital improvement plans are available online at www.fallriver.gov/department/city clerk/legal notices and the office of the city clerk's office and the Fall River Public Library. The city council only schedules 5 minutes, 5 minutes for that. And I'm going to tell you why. Nobody shows up for them. People complain what the city does, yet when they're given the opportunity to be heard, they don't bother showing up. And this happens all the time. And I just want to prove to you that you're not being listened to because you don't show up. That hearing should take an hour at least, maybe more. But because nobody's going to show up, they're going to open it and close it, and that's it. That's a
Well,
shame.
well, okay. I've got a kind of different attitude on that. I've been to a lot of these things. Um, the problem is the only people that are going to show up for the most part are going to be the fucking people who are going to benefit from this, the developers and
Right.
things, and they're going to tell everybody how great it is, and then you're going to have the canaries on the council like Kilby and Hart extolling the virtues of these geniuses who have created such a great Fall River in the last 40 years. Look at it. It's a gem. It's the crown jewel of Massachusetts. People from everywhere are moving to Fall River. Look at it. Look at it. It's wonderful. There's no crime. We're number one in schools. We're the greatest thing since sliced. These things are wonderful. They're the panacea to everything. And then a couple of people are going to get up there who are going to take their time to study the issues, just like we did, on the fact that TIFs are useless and they're actually counterproductive and a negative impact on cities. Did anybody listen? No. So I got a different view, CJ. My thing is get them at the ballot box. Throw their dumbasses out of those seats. Because they don't give a shit what you say. And the more right you are, the less they want to hear you. Because that's the reality. That's the reality of the government we have in the city of Fall River, on Beacon Hill in Boston, and in Washington, D.C. That's the reality. Because they're a bunch of corrupt SOBs who only kowtow to the rich who control them and our government. And that's the reality. And that segues into something quickly. I got to get into this quick because you saw it and I saw it. There was an incredible thing on the news. It was a tape of the chairman of the Arizona Republican
Committee.
Party, a committee party, whatever the hell they call it, but to show you how corrupt they are, trying to make a deal with somebody who was going to run for Congress, who had run for governor, who just got squeaked out, and I think she got robbed because the person who got elected was actually the Secretary of State who ran the election, and it was she's a very popular person. Her name is Kerry Lake. And they wanted to bribe her not to run. And it went on. You can go back and look at it if you can get Fox. It was on a Jesse Waters show. They had the entire tape, very clear. And not only did they play the actual voice, they actually put it up so you could read it. And he first started out by saying there's some powerful people on the East Coast. And you remember that thing I always read from the Untold Story of Labor about rich people in the 1850s saying, we don't care who's in office, we own everybody?
I remember that clearly.
And I could read it again today, but I won't. But it's still the same 150 years later or so. Well over 100 years later, okay? Yeah. So, well over 100, because 1850 to 1950, we're almost 200 years later, still the same shit. Then he went on to say they're very powerful and they're going to put their money where their mouth is and they're going to make you a deal and they got plenty of money and blah, blah, blah. And she said, absolutely not, blah, blah. I'm not for sale. I'm running for the people, blah, blah. And he said, but wait a minute. Let me tell you about this stuff, what they're willing to offer. And then he went on. And this is what, I'm going to hold it up. I don't know if you can read the damn thing, but this is it. That damn screen sucks. But I'll read it to you. This is what it says. Wait a minute. Come on. Yep. Oh, I hate this thing. I really do. The more I touch this thing with my size 16 fingers, the worse it gets. God damn it. Look at this. I can't get into it. There it is. Maybe now it can, I don't know. But this is it, but I'll read it. They want you to stay out for 2 years. Well, I'll tell you what I can offer you. The ask I got today from back east was, is there any companies out there or something that could just put her on the payroll and give her to keep her out? We'll do what you want and whatever we need to do. A no-show job for any amount of money she wanted. And she told him, absolutely not. And then the next thing he said was, well, wait a minute, just don't discount this. Give me a number then. If you don't want a no-show job, give me a figure. I'm sure they will make it. Yeah, but I'm seeing this, but remember, the corrupt Republican was taking an offer from corrupt Democrats on the East Coast. Democratic donors. The same donors that are contributing to Nikki Haley's campaign to try to push Trump out of the campaign. They're all corrupt, Steve. They're all corrupt. It's all about rich. It's not about Republican, Democrat. It's about rich, the haves and the have-nots, the elitists. That's what people don't understand. It's got nothing to do with parties. Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, they're all shit bum millionaires that don't give a shit about the people. But to get back to this, then they said, give me a number. You just give me a number. And she said, no. She said $1 million, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, $1 billion. I'm not going to be bought. She said, I'm running for the people of Arizona. And she said, I am going to be the biggest effing pain in the ass they have ever seen. and they're going to have to kill me to stop me from running. And then you know what this a-hole who made this offer that they got on tape said? He said it wasn't a bribe. It wasn't a bribe? You offer somebody a no-show job for whatever salary they want to get, not to run. But that's not a bribe. That's how delusional these people are and how corrupt they are. All of the parties. That's why I'm an independent. So this is what we get. And that's why when you start talking about, let's go down there and talk about the cap, they don't give a shit what we think. The people in that city council now, except for Michelle Dion, are all a bunch of bobbleheads. They got a majority vote on anything. They don't care how much they raise your taxes. They don't care how much it costs anybody. The reality is they're going to take care of their rich friends. Because like it said in that book almost 200 years ago, 27 years short of 200 years. It was around 1850. 27 years short of 200 years ago, this is what they said. And I'm paraphrasing, but I got a really good memory. We elected a Republican governor on the West Coast, a Democratic governor on the East Coast. We own all the congressmen and senators, and we don't care who's in the White House. We're the rich, and we own this country, and we're never going to lose our control over it. That's what they said nearly 200 years ago, and it's still the same today, even worse today, because those people were just millionaires, which is a lot of money. I guess if you go with what the dollar was worth in those days, they were probably billionaires too. But this is the billionaire class. The billionaire class that is bankrolling Nikki Haley. I just saw her again. She's getting more money from them to keep running, even though she doesn't have a chance, just to be a thorn in the side of the nomination process. But this is why I'm an independent. Listen, they're all corrupt. The only way we ever control our government is by throwing their asses out every couple of years. Just clean house. Remember, well, I don't know, I forgot the name of that movie. Was it Mr. Smith Goes to Washington? That's what we need to do. We need to send regular people there like this country when they started. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, they all became presidents of the United States. John Adams, they all. And what happened? They served and they went back to their regular jobs in the private sector. Government was not a lifetime job. Being a political tick was not a lifetime endeavor. That's when this country actually had representation of the people. Once politics became a career path, we were screwed. And the only way we can counteract this is get to the polls. So I know I got off on a tip, but I think this segues into everything we see on all levels of government. Local, state, and federal. Look at our state. Maura Healey is going to cut funding to handicapped home care while she gives money to illegal aliens. Why? Because the wokies. So that's it, CJ. I'll turn it back over to you.
It's amazing, you know, and I gotta thank Stevie B. This is I think the first time he's been so active, and thanks for letting the people know that it was Jeff Dewitt, because Chip failed to mention the gentleman's name who was involved in this whole diatribe of misrepresentation and corruption. And corruption's nothing new in government. We see it every day. We see it in Fall River every day. We see it in Fall River every day.
Just
and we
one
know that
quick thing,
there.
CJ. It was on that little thing, and I didn't read it because I didn't read. I read the text, but he also resigned the next day. So
yes.
that is the correct name, but it's irrelevant. The names are irrelevant. It's just the entire disgusting freaking way that politics is run in this country now. It's all about money and big campaign donors. This is why, as much as a lot of people don't like Trump, a lot of people like him, because he can't be bought, because he's got plenty of money. And whether you like him or dislike him, his record, you can evaluate his record. We don't tell anybody how to vote. But the reality is the government is controlled by the elitists. They're controlled by the Bloombergs and all the rest of the big money people, the Zuckerbergs, and
The
all the other,
Bezos.
all of the rest of those yo-yos, because they buy, they own everybody basically. And now we're beginning to get people who are now populists into the Congress, and I don't care whether they're a Republican or a Democrat. Listen, I listened to Robert Kennedy Jr. the other day. The guy makes a lot of sense. He's a Democrat. I don't hate Democrats. I don't hate Republicans. But I do hate people who abuse and take advantage of people. And our government was supposed to be here to ensure that everybody had a chance to survive in this country and live a decent life. And these people don't care what they do to the average people, and these millionaires don't care. Like I said, they're gonna buy Kerry Lake off. They'll try to buy everybody off. So if you want to make a quick buck, but you got to be popular. Kerry Lake looks like she's gonna win that race against Sinema. Looks like she's gonna win and win fairly easily. That's why they wanted to buy her out. But if you're running and it looks like you're a threat, you want to make a couple of extra bucks. If you want to take the money and run, that's a way to take it. I wouldn't do it, but Kerry Lake won't do it. But this is the sad part of it. And every once in a while we get lucky and we get to actually prove it, not just talk about it, but actually get a tape of somebody actually saying the words, "We're trying to bribe you," and then he denies it. Okay. With that, back to you, because I'm fired up about this.
I could tell. I could tell. It's very interesting, and again, as we've said before, corruption within our city government is nothing new. Corruption in our national government is nothing new. Corruption in our state government is nothing new. We see it all the time. I mean, Fall River is closer to it probably than a lot of other cities because we've had a mayor who went to jail for it. Okay, the only other city I think that has more connection to corrupt politicians is Providence with Buddy Cianci. But even when Buddy Cianci came back, the people of Providence reelected him. And I think that may happen with Jason Correa. He may come back and the people of Fall River reelect him because he was a good mayor. He was just lining his pockets because he was living high on the hog, higher than he's ever done before or been able to do before. And we heard stories about how it was when he was in school and this, that, and the other thing. But a lot of that doesn't mean anything. He's going to serve his time. Buddy Cianci served his time. Buddy Cianci came out and said, "I'm going to run again." He ran again and got elected. Jazel may say, "I'm going to get out and I'm going to run again." You never know. You don't know what he's going to do. You don't know what he's going to say. I mean, he's been moved around 5 times now, so anything's possible when you're in the federal prison system. That's for sure. So, we got recommendations for news organizations to listen to. That's wonderful. I agree. Newsmax is great, and One American News is probably also very good. So, because the mainstream media is not going to tell you what's going on. That's for sure. Now to change the subject a little bit. As you may remember, the city council voted to not sell the Bank Street Armory to Mr. Macomber. And the city council wants to meet with the historic commission and other vested individuals on how they want to repair and maintain this building. And they want the historic commission to get some CPA money. They want that building taken out of the park department control, because obviously the park department hasn't done anything with it, and put it in the control of the historic commission, which I agree with. I think it should be. But the thing that got me was the mayor said, "I respect the vote of the city council, and I will work with the historic commission to put together a plan for this building." Bullshit. You're going to put together a plan so you can find a way to sell that building. And we know it. You've been complaining about $10 million all along, about $10 million fixing this building. You could have taken ARPA funds, $10 million of ARPA funds out of your $88 million and fixed that building and put the money into fixing that building. But no, your idea was to piss it away on your friends. That's what you did. Because
Well, you're
Fall River's
right.
not benefiting from that ARPA money.
No, you're right,
At all.
CJ. But listen, to just kind of get back to the original thing, what we were talking about. The only way we're ever going to control our government is to elect new people all the time. The reality is like, like they said, change them like diapers for the same reason, because they're full of shit. If you keep people in office only for a term or two, they don't have enough time to get rich. Remember, Congress will not pass laws against them trading stocks, even though they've all become millionaires with insider trading. They're not going to police themselves. And the people have to understand that it's up to you. Don't complain. Look, we complain all the time, but we vote in every final election. Maybe not the primaries, but we vote in every single election. So we got to right the bitch. And I don't vote for most of these people. So, but it's up to us. If they're only up there for a term or two, and then then they'll pass laws against insider trading. Maybe if somebody goes to Washington because they really want to represent their constituency, they will say, okay, I will forego my stock market trading for my term. I will be prohibited from making money just because of the perception. But people don't do that. That's the problem. Look at Bridgeport, Connecticut. The mayor who had one of his people stuffing ballot boxes, not once, but twice she was caught. Twice stuffing ballot boxes. He got reelected. And there's another allegation that they did it again. You can't get these people out of office. For God's sakes, they can't run an election. And that's intentional. This horse manure about making it really easy, well, make it really easy. One day, paper ballots, voter IDs, and absentee ballots for only people who have a legitimate reason to get an absentee ballot. I got a card in the mail the other day for a ballot.
We all got one.
We all got one. I said that. Now, how many people got them and how many people didn't get them? Suppose somebody decides that, well, I'm going to go around and cherry pick them from people's mailboxes, even though it's a federal offense. They don't care. They were stuffing boxes. It doesn't matter. And we'll request ballots and we'll do something. Look at this whole thing is about maintaining power, not allowing the people to speak. When these idiots say that it's racist to ask somebody to prove who they are when they vote, they must have been in love with Mayor Daley, who had half of the cemeteries in Chicago voting for him. That's why he got elected so often. They don't really want fair elections. Listen, I took 1 million votes in my life in a union, at conventions, in committees, and I had to stand by to vote. But those votes were there. Everybody knew they were fair elections. Everybody got to vote, except one time at a firefighters convention, where some guy tried to vote twice, but they caught him because he thought he was going to camouflage himself. He changed changed the sweater he was wearing, but he forgot he was the only firefighter there with a beard. So they caught him. Plus they knew him. I don't know why he did it, but he did it. But listen, we need fair elections, And whether we like them or dislike them, we stand by the result. We've got to put our big boy pants on and accept it. But when they cheat, when they lie, when they bribe, then you've got very good reason to be upset. And we see it all the time here. And just like the rich tried to bribe her, the rich are bribing people all over the country. The donors are given. And we know that how much money is being bantered around even in Fall River now. So, listen, bottom line comes to what we always say. First show we had about 13 years ago was follow the money. Follow the money. The second thing is, the thing that we say almost as often as follow the money, is that we are responsible for the government that we get. When we elect these people and keep them in office, in spite of the fact that they're not doing their job, it's the electorate's fault. And people like us who go there and vote, it should not be a protest vote, because ours is fundamentally relegated to being a protest vote, because not enough people turn out. When 14 or 15,000 people turn out, when we have 55,000 or some, and I know the number fluctuates, but well over 50,000. When we have 35 or 40,000 people who don't vote, we have the minority controlling the government, and that flies in the face of what the Constitution says, because it said this is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And if this government isn't working for us, we have to change it. But if you don't go there to vote, you can't change it. So you have, by your acquiescence, by your failure to vote, you have abdicated your right to complain about the government. At least that's my opinion. So with CJ, back to you.
Well, one of the things about voting is that a complaint has been filed with the Department of Justice in regards to Fall River voting because of the recent changes they made to the polling places. And the complaint is asking that the Department of Justice comes and, number one, monitors Fall River's elections like they're doing in 3 or 4 other cities in the Commonwealth. And number two, making sure that every single one of the polling places is handicap accessible. This is going to open up a Pandora's box for the city, thanks to Ryan Lyons. Because when it happened to Swansea went 12 years trying to get their city compliant with the American with Disabilities Act rules, regulations, and laws. Wasn't easy. Wasn't easy at all. So we'll have to talk about it. And just so you know, there is a 29-page document, 29 pages, telling the cities and towns how to be sure their buildings and their polling places are handicap accessible. And they're specific, right down to the inches sometimes. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens if the Department of Justice comes to Fall River and starts watching everything, because there won't be any shenanigans this time. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. We'll see you on Monday. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday.